5 years ago today, I woke up like every other day. I put my uniform on, I brushed my teeth, I grabbed my to-go coffee, I drove my car to the airport. I prepped the plane like 100 times I'd done before that. From there we flew to Las Vegas and some plans changed. And we decided that we would fly back to San Diego that night, but obviously we never made it. I remember waking up and someone telling me that it was a month and a half later than I thought it was. Then I would flash to the night of the accident, to blood dripping and fire around me and running out of the plane and someone yelling, "Stop, drop, and roll." And I remember getting thrown into the ambulance and bouncing down this rocky road. And I remember being on a gurney and handing a guy in a white lab coat my phone, telling him, "This is my passcode and please call my dad." The injuries that I sustained were second and third degree burns over almost 70% of my body. I had broken and fractured bones. I had amputations of my fingers. I lost my eyelids, I lost my ears, and couldn't do anything for myself. I was completely paralyzed, couldn't breathe, couldn't walk, couldn't talk, couldn't feed myself. I was completely reliant on the nurses and doctors in the hospital. I was so heavily sedated that I honestly remember the dreams more than I remember being awake. They were a series of horrific nightmares that I couldn't escape. And honestly, I remember them a lot more vividly than I remember being awake at this time. And they almost seemed to be like when, I was living, like a living memory. But I did have these moments of positivity in there by my then girlfriend, now wife, and my mom. Their voice would shine through and give me a little bit of comfort. When I was taken off of sedation, my first thoughts were my life was over, that I'd never do anything great again, and that I should have died in that plane. But the story didn't end there.
Nice work, babe.
Doing good. See that?
There you go. We're doing it.
I'm not telling you any of this to be depressing or to give you some bullshit inspirational story. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm just a guy who got stripped down to the core of who he was, metaphorically and literally. But I believe it's for a higher purpose. I have to believe that some good has come from this and will come from this. Hopefully I've learned a few things that not only helped me, but will help all of you. First, I heard from numerous mental health professionals that gratitude is the best way to heal. So I wanted to share some of the people I'm thankful for and we're grateful for through this process. The first is my wife. She was just my girlfriend at the time, but went to bat for me and fight for me at times that I couldn't, against the doctors and sometimes family. I wanted to also thank my family, or Ohana as well, though. They were so amazing and so supportive, even now. And especially I want to thank my mom. She had so many nights of sleeping on hospital chairs or just holding my hand or telling me inspirational stories that got me through another day. And to my dad, who was so supportive from thousands of miles away and just really tried to be there as best he could. I want to thank my friends and colleagues who I never in a million years would have asked them to be there, but showed up anyway and were so supportive for me and my family, and to people who they become family to me in another way. And last but definitely not least, the first responders, the firefighters, the nurses and doctors, especially at UCSD, that helped save my life, helped turn everything around and heal me, and helped my attitude get back on track to where I wanted to try to live again. The next thing I learned was the difference between feeling like a victim and feeling like a survivor. Now, I never used to think this verbiage was important, and honestly used to think it was cheesy, but it really made a difference for my recovery. I think if you feel like you're a victim, you're always going to stay a victim. And I know it's easier said than done to change that, but you can't have this woe is me attitude. You're never going to be able to get out of that mindset. And I think it's super important to try to change that thought, to reclaim your power of who you are and to be confident in yourself by saying, I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor. The last thing that was really important to me that I still use all the time was that you have to be just 1% better. For me, it was just getting one more sleep at night, or taking one more step when they were trying to help me walk again, or to last one more minute without pain medication. There was days where I couldn't even do that, and there was days where I think I fell into the negative 1%, but having these small incremental goals and hitting that small incremental growth was so important for me to heal and move forward. So I hope you'll join me on this journey. I'm really looking at this next chapter with an open mind and open arms, whatever that may be, whether it's speaking engagements or sports related or work or a next great adventure, I'm ready for it. And that kind of leads me into my next thing. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and this fall I plan on launching a new podcast where every week I speak to a new individual who's used their pain, trauma, mental health struggles, or their fall to rock bottom and turned it into a tool that led them to success, peace, and happiness. So this podcast is not meant to be a downer or sad or too heavy, but rather light, uplifting, and fun, and at times funny, very true to who I am. This podcast will be called the Sick Burn Podcast, and it's a podcast about the bright side to your darkest moments. I truly believe you only have one life to live, and you have to make the most of it. No matter the cards you're dealt, you have to play them the best you can. I want to move towards the things that I love and that inspire me, to show there's beauty in nuance, and after every great fall, there's a way to rise again. Peace, aloha, and today be grateful for everything you have, because I definitely will.